Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, a very big welcome. This is the first time in my whole entire life that I have brought or ordered anything from Pat McGrath. I've seen her gorgeous packaging. I love how she puts sequins in all of her wrapped packaging. She recently had, and currently still has I believe, a 20 to 25% off sale, and as tempted as I was to splurge and pick up one of her eyeshadow palettes, I have, like you guys know, recently organised my makeup collection and I have enough eyeshadow palettes for the time being. But what I really wanted to try of hers was her new concealer and the under eye setting powder. Straight off the bat, I know for a fact, unfortunately, that this shade is definitely not an under eye shade for me. As you can tell, this is probably actually a really good face match shade for me. I picked up the shade LM11, so light medium 11, and I went on with that shade based on what I've seen on YouTube because it's a newer concealer, so I didn't really have that much to compare to. The packaging's got her logo at the front. It just says Skin Fetish Sublime Perfection Concealer, and it's got 5 milliliters in there. Back it says weightless, full coverage, high performance, runway tested, mother approved. I have seen her foundation and I tested it out, I swatched it, and I just wasn't sold on the fact that it was so expensive. I think for the price tag to have such a lower coverage foundation, that's just not for me. I would rather, if it'd been medium coverage, I would have gone for it, but it was just too low coverage for me to really splurge. But this obviously is supposed to be full coverage and weightless, and you guys know I love a concealer. I know about 200 of you have subscribed just because of my Kevin Aucoin concealer review, so I hope you like this video. I do love a concealer. It's not often that a concealer from the high end will tempt me to purchase it because, like I said, I'm so loyal to Kevin Aucoin. I know at the moment Kevin Aucoin, a few people have commented on that video that's saying that the Essential Skin Enhancers are currently being sold in the US on the Costco website for $9, which is incredible, and they're also being sold here in TK Maxx. That does make me worry that they can discontinue, but anyway, basically the point is I never really buy concealers because I love that so much and it lasts for so long and nothing really compares, but I'm excited to try this one out for sure. Now, the first thing I've noticed is that it is definitely the most luxurious tube concealer package I have ever felt. It is real glass, it's not plastic, it's very weighty to the touch, and it's a very nice simple packaging. It just says in gold writing Pat McGrath. At the bottom you've got your shade name. It says it lasts for 6 months, so I need to bear that in mind, or we're in April. Okay, so by October this probably will start to not look its best. So it doesn't mean that you can't use it, but it means that it probably will be best used in the 6 months now. So it's got a doe foot applicator that's slightly flat, as you can see. Let's see the shade. Like I thought, this would be a very good skin shade, and because of its peachy tone, I think it could actually end up being a good corrector. So I'm going to go straight ahead and use what I put on the back of my hand to just conceal around my mouth. That was just one light layer over the discoloration around my mouth and also on my spots and scarring. And I have to say, for such a lightweight concealer, the coverage is really impressive, and it didn't take too much effort to try and blend it at all. So I'm very impressed with that. And then for the redness around my nose. I know I look a bit bonkers right now, but I have to say, first impressions are that I can't believe how much coverage I'm getting, considering I can't feel this on my skin at all. And maybe it's because I'm more used to like that creamy formula. I am really impressed with that. If I was wearing absolutely no makeup and I just wanted to cover a few blemishes, LM11 would definitely work for me. Now obviously I do tend to wear a foundation shade a little bit darker. I'm just going to use the Fenty Beauty foundation in the shade 290, and then I'm going to come back and try it under my eyes because it's my skin tone, but because I wear a shade darker in foundation, it could just about work. Let's have a look. Tell 290 is definitely like a summer shade, but I do feel like I've matched more with the rest of my skin. Now let's go in with LM11, and usually I would use a corrector, but because this does have that peachy tone and it says it's full coverage, I'm just going to try it under one eye. I'm just going to put a little bit like so. A little bit more here because obviously you get more darkness. I asked my husband to wash my sponge, and this is what he got. Bless him. It is clean, it's just stained. I'm just going to use my damp sponge. Start blending this out. First impressions, I am pretty impressed. Straight away you can see the huge difference between my dark circle and my now concealed eye, and actually you really can't see that much darkness, which is amazing, and I'm so happy about that. Although this shade like could be my no makeup match, it's not too bad for a concealer shade because sometimes you don't want a super crazy over the top bright look. Sometimes you just want a slightly lighter shade. I'd say this is like one shade lighter than my foundation, and it makes quite a nice natural concealer shade. I'm very impressed. I can see some darkness, especially here where I get most dark. I do have fine lines under my eyes, so it has settled slightly in the fine lines, but it hasn't set yet. I think I could blend those out. Now what I'm going to do on this side, I'm just going to go in with a corrector. I'm still making my mind up about this corrector, guys. This is the Laura Mercier Secret Concealer in the shade 3. Like I did in my Kevin Kwan video, I'm going to do one without corrector, one with corrector. I'll start blending out with the sponge. I'd quite like to see how it's like with a brush as well. Let's do half and half. Honestly, I feel like my sponge is soaking up too much of this product, especially for how pricey it is. I will get into price in a moment, but let's just use this brush. Sure, you can tell in the camera as well as I can tell in person, but obviously there is going to be a bit more coverage and a bit less darkness on this side. But don't use a corrector. No matter how good your concealer is, you're still going to be able to really see and notice the darkness and the dips under your eyes, which you can definitely do here compared to here, where because it was corrected beforehand, the concealer can work its magic. I'm just going to put a little bit more tickly here. I'm going to use my brush. I prefer this with the brush so far, bearing in mind this is the first time I've used it, but I just think that because it's a liquid concealer, not a cream one, and because it's so full coverage, I want to keep as much of the coverage as I can, and I would rather use it with my fingers or with a brush than with a sponge and have the sponge soak it up. But now the next product I'm going to go in with is the Pat McGrath Lab Skin Fetcher Sublime Perfection Blurring Under Eye Powder, and I'm possibly more excited for the powder than I was for the concealer. I have to say I'm loving the concealer so far, so maybe, you know, it's going to be equal love, hopefully. But this is in the shade medium, and I'll just show you guys up close. I love her packaging. Like, nobody else in the industry does such cute packaging like this. The packaging for the under eye powder is pretty basic, pretty simple, pretty cute and round. Black plastic packaging. This powder will last you well for 24 months, it says on the back. And you get 4 grams of products in here. And this is what the powder in medium looks like. So interestingly, it's actually not very yellow toned. I thought it'd have a slight yellow tinge. It has a really tiny, teeny, cute little mirror in here, so you can get right up and see if you've set those under eyes properly. Right, I'm going to use the Zoeva 135 Luxe highlight brush. I'm just going to go and try and blend out these under eye creases. Now the concealer by this point it is not looking as dewy as it was when it first went on, which is good. It's slightly set, but it's still blendable. So I would say that the finish is very satin, very skin-like, but still with that full coverage. Even on my eyelids, like, they look so much more corrected. Let's use this under eye powder. It looks like a baked formula and it's very finely milled. So that is one eye set, one eye not set. I can't say I've noticed a difference in like coverage. I don't know that it's really like brightened the area up. I don't know how I feel about this. So my favourite under eye setting powder of all time is a Rhodial Banana Powder, and that is more, obviously, as the name suggests, it is more of a banana-y powder. It's more bright, and I think that's kind of what I was expecting from this. But if we look at the claims, it says it blurs the under eyes. From far, my under eyes look set, so they look blurred, and then up close, I don't know you guys, I just don't know how I feel. Now usually, even with Kevyn Aucoin, well, especially with Kevyn Aucoin, I would bake. Kind of experiment here and kind of see how this goes. I'm going to take my Laura Mercier under this eye where I didn't use corrector. I'm going to just lightly bake. I'm not going to bake under both eyes, let's see if there's a difference. The reason why I'm doing this is because this is my typical standard concealer routine, is I lightly set with a powder and then I lightly bake. I know most people don't do that, they just go in with their loose powder, but that is my typical routine and that's all I bake for. I don't bake for any longer than that because I don't want to look crepey. So I'm going to leave this eye as it is, even though I can see that the fine lines are already kind of peeking through. So the time is 2:50. My wear test starts officially now and I hopefully will have this on for at least 10 hours. But let's just talk about pricing before we go on to anything else. I'm aware this is going to be a bit of a longer video, but I like these to be like as detailed, as informative as possible, because this concealer is going to set you back £25 if you buy it by itself, and the powder is going to set you back £23 if you buy it by itself. So in total, if you were to buy these two things together, that would be about £47 for two products. That is expensive. I don't mind spending money if it's going to be a high quality product that's going to give me good results. But the good news is, if you go onto her website and you go to face and then face kits, this is where I was able to pick this up for a much better price. So I got these two for the full price is £40 for a duo. So you click onto the blurring under eye duo. You can pay £40 if you don't manage to get it in the sale, and then obviously I got £8 off of that, and I got free shipping, and it came all the way from America with no customs charges as well, which was fantastic. So for the price that I got these two at £32, I am really happy with that. That makes them about £16 each in the sale. First impressions are, I'm super happy with the coverage of this concealer. I think it looks really good. It feels weightless. So her claims of weightless and full coverage, I totally agree with. I hope you can see, because I can tell. This is the side where I've lightly baked here, and I feel like this side of my face looks a lot more airbrushed and flawless than this side. And the reason why that it looks so airbrushed and flawless is because obviously I use my translucent powder on top, and Laura Mercier translucent powder, genuinely I don't know why I didn't get on that hype so many years before but it's fine, it's in my collection now, I have it now and I absolutely love it. But I definitely think this side looks better, even though it doesn't have corrector on, and that's due to the powder. I definitely could have gone down about 3 shades with this for a very brightening shade, and if I end up loving it, I might pick it up in the sale again. But so far, I am not sold by this. So far, I'm on the fence about this. Anyway, I will be back in a couple of hours. Hey everyone, so I'm back. I'm sorry I didn't do a midday check-in. I just got so busy. But it's currently now 11:40, which means that I am 10 minutes away from having this concealer and powder combination on for 9 hours. So I think that's a pretty good wear test. First of all, I did ask my sister-in-law and I asked my husband if they could notice any difference between my under eyes. I'm going to come in closer for you guys so hopefully you can see. And my sister-in-law straight away said that my under eyes don't look as full coverage as usual, but she said they still look good, and she said she can definitely tell there's some more darkness under here. And my husband at first was like, no, I can't see anything different or any difference here. But then he looked, I was like, just look closely, look really closely. He said, oh, actually this one's got more creases under your eyes and this one's more smooth. So yeah, by the way, I did have to take my hijab back into a regular hijab, and my earrings, those earrings are so heavy, honestly, I can't wear them for too long. They're gorgeous, they're from Primark, but they're too heavy to wear too long. But anyway, so yeah, I definitely agree with them both 100%. This eye, my right under eye, looks so much better than this eye, and that is because I set this with a Laura Mercier powder. Bizarrely, my mascara seems to have smudged here and not here, which is just, I don't know if that's just a coincidence or if that's something to do with the powder. But definitely, I feel like the concealer has completely just melted away under my eyes here. And I actually noticed that started happening about 3 hours in because it wasn't set well enough for my under eyes. The result of lightly baking afterwards means that my concealer will stay in place if it has to. So the concealer itself, I think, is gorgeous. I initially was concerned that the shade I got was wrong and I wouldn't end up using it, but I definitely will be using this concealer shade as a day-to-day concealer shade. It's beautiful, it's not too brightening, it's definitely not too dark, and I could use it just for no makeup or makeup which I don't want to be super dramatic. I love the fact that it is very lightweight. I love the fact there's also full coverage. There's very few concealers that get those two things correct. It is expensive, it definitely is. If you ask me that very tricky question of if I had to choose between this and Kevyn Aucoin, it's going to be Kevyn Aucoin, and that's because Kevyn Aucoin is such a versatile concealer in my opinion, and you get so much product for your money. Even if you were to pay for it full price, you're still getting product that's going to last you for a very long time, whereas this, technically it says 6 months, and this will not last you for even a quarter of the time as Kevyn Aucoin. But does that change the fact that it's a beautiful concealer? Absolutely not. Am I happy I got it? Yes, I am. LM11 is a light medium with yellow peach undertones. I like the fact that it is yellow peach because I think that's perfect for my skin tone. The peach did a decent job at brightening. Now remember, this is a side that actually didn't have any corrector, but I just layered up the concealer a little bit and then I set it properly. And although I can see a little bit of darkness, still it's fine, it's absolutely fine. For obviously like a wedding or special occasion, I would definitely go in with a corrector, and I probably would anyway because I'm a bit crazy about my under eyes looking as flawless as possible, but that's still pretty decent. This side had corrector, but because it wasn't set properly, that shows the power of setting, the power of a setting powder and the power of Laura Mercier translucent powder. It just went absolutely crazy a couple of hours later. Just meant that the whole makeup application was kind of wasted. If I hadn't set both of them, I would definitely have been really disappointed. So I'm glad that I did my normal routine versus like a different kind of routine as well. The next shade that I would have got is probably L7 or L8. I think both of those could work definitely for a more brightening effect, and if I was wanting to get a shade that's similar to SX07 in Kevyn Aucoin, then those two I think would be equivalent. But I am really happy with this because I will be able to use it much more regularly, and I will be using it. You'll be seeing it a lot on my channel, on my Instagram, and probably in the favourites for sure. So moving on to the powder. So far, and this is definitely only first impressions, I've only used it one time, but I'm not blown away by this guy at all. I just think that for something to be claiming to be blurring and a blurring under eye powder, and for it to end up kind of not even setting my under eye in place properly. Yes, obviously I didn't bake, but see, with baking, it looks nice. Without baking, it just can't do the job, so it hasn't blurred. And I honestly did not notice a big, wow, blurring, amazing difference. I don't know about you guys, you can let me know down in the comments if you did, but I think I'm going to be comparing this actually to some other powders. I might do a YouTube video or possibly a blog post. I think for the price, £23 for this alone. Remember, I did get it in a duo set, but I would not at this point, I can say I would definitely not pick this up again, even if it was on sale, because I'm not impressed by it. Hopefully, as the weeks go on and I use it more and more, I'll figure out a way to make it work really well, and if I do, I will leave that down below, so keep an eye on the description bar if you're watching this in a couple of weeks time. But as of today, I ain't impressed. And yeah, that is it. That is my first impressions. I hope you found it helpful. I will leave some other concealer reviews down below because, like you can probably tell, I love concealer and I have very high standards for my concealers. If you enjoy content like this, there is beauty videos posted on this channel every single Thursday. So definitely click subscribe. There's also teaching videos and lifestyle content videos on Tuesday and Sunday. But if you're here for the beauty, just for the beauty, then click subscribe and I'm sure you'll enjoy it on those days. Thanks so much for watching. Bye guys.